I have a feeling I'm gonna like this.
And chestnut inside.
So I just entered this raffle here, and I got the #1 prize. All right, I'm off the bus, and I've arrived at Makuhari Messe for Tokyo Game Show, day 3, but it's actually day 1 for public visitors. And the only reason I'm here is for the Street Fighter thing, the tournament today. So I've got my bag, which has got my stick in it, and I stupidly brought coffee and water. So now I have to hold both in one hand. Right, this is where I'm supposed to be going, the International Conference Hall. This is where I'm standing, so I think it's over there. Alright, this is probably a really common misunderstanding for the Street Fighter tournament at Tokyo Game Show, but in fact you don't need a Tokyo Game Show ticket to get into the tournament. They're 2 separate events, but they're in the same building, and you need to get to the International Conference Hall, which is separate to where all the Tokyo Game Show stuff is being shown. So for both 2018 and 2019, you didn't have to line up for Tokyo Game Show at all. You just walk straight up to the International Conference Hall, and you just walk straight in. If in fact you do also want to go to the Tokyo Game Show booths, you're going to have to line up separately for entry to Tokyo Game Show first and get yourself a hand stamp, which allows you to go to and from the actual Street Fighter tournament venue. Once you're inside, registration is fairly simple. You just join this long queue. I think there was over 1,000 people who were registered for this tournament. Well, I didn't have to wait that long, really. All you have to do is show your Smash.gg account when you get to the front of the queue, or at least that's what it was for 2019, and then you're registered and ready for the tournament. Alright, I've got my entry form and entry name badge thing, and as you can see, quite a lot of people queuing up here in the morning, partly because the instructions don't tell you what time this event starts. It only says that you need to be here for the start at 9 o'clock, but in Japanese, in Japanese, oh, nice bow tie.
My name is Sasa.
Are you commentating today?
Yes!
Yes! Sick, this is gonna be awesome. It says 10 a.m. start there, but on the website it says you have to be here at 9 o'clock. I think it's like scaremongering, because actually in Japanese it says reception begins at 9, so it's obvious that you can like arrive at 9 and start signing up until it actually starts at 10. It will not be this nice and calm later on. It will be probably packed with 1,000 people playing Street Fighter. Right now it's time to write our names down on this bit of paper. Got the bros here. Give yourself names.
My name is Giovanni.
James, Kevin, or Caliber.
We've commandeered this station. I don't even know if we're supposed to, but we have. It's ours. everyone's doing it. We're gonna practice a bit. Let's see how this goes.
Warming up to
So I just entered this raffle here. You have to sign a survey. There's a little QR code, and I got the #1 prize. Super bold print Capcom Pro Tour on the front of the t-shirt. And oh my goodness, I don't know if I have the guts to wear this in public. Super nice Miku teal green. I think she knows that I like teal, so there's a few different colors of t-shirt. Is it on?
Yeah, it's on.
Come back. You need to be. So please explain to me, Mr. Papa-san. We've just met here at Tokyo Game Show.
About the in English.
This is a
kawadori mochi. Kawadori mochi.
Kawadori mochi. And it's from
Hiroshima.
From Hiroshima. It looks like kinako.
Yes.
All right. I have a feeling I'm gonna like this.
And chestnut inside.
Alright, here we go.
How do you like it?
It really does have nuts inside. This is great. Oh, I need water. I'm okay. I'm a big Hinako fan. That was Oishi. Thank you very much, Papa-san.
Bye.
Goodbye. It's grand finals tomorrow. I'm finished because I lost 2 matches already, way in the morning, but all these guys had long matches. It started at what? 10 in the morning and it's now 7 p.m. Everyone's had a good time, not only just playing their tournament matches, but doing their casual matches as well. You can see everyone is cleaning up, making everything nice and tidy, getting ready for the tournament tomorrow. Alright, that's all the footage I have from the Street Fighter tournament at Tokyo Game Show in 2019. Now, if you haven't seen it already, there is a video from 2018 from the exact same tournament, but obviously last year. And that is actually the first time I ever competed in a Street Fighter tournament. I actually didn't really know a whole lot about EVO and tournaments a couple years ago, but since watching EVO on Twitch streams and all that, and watching all the famous videos that everybody knows about, I got really into fighting games, and this is the second tournament I've taken part in. And actually, after the tournament 2018 last year, it was after that I went to my first local event here in Tokyo. I played BlazBlue Cross Tag, Street Fighter 5, and then I ended up sticking mostly with Street Fighter 5 since autumn of last year. So much so that I ended up playing Street Fighter 5 at the EVO Japan tournament, which was in Fukuoka 2019, and then now coming back to Tokyo Game Show for 2019. And it's going to be really interesting to watch the 2018 video and compare how my experience was between that EVO Japan and this here event from 2019 Tokyo Game Show. All in all, I think it was a really good experience, especially the fact that I actually knew a few more people before I went. Last time when I went, there were people who came over and introduced themselves to me, which was really helpful. But if no one had said hello to me at all in 2018, I'd have left the event going, well, I took part, but you know, it was kind of scary and then there wasn't really much else to do. But then a few people came up and said hello to me, and then EVO Japan was the same, and so it was really nice to have a few friends and make a few friends there. But this time in 2019, I knew significantly more people, and I was, you know, really changes the experience. It's totally fine to only show up for the tournament if you just want to compete and just see how well you're doing. But if you're considering it like a trip to Tokyo so that you can take part in this event, then I think it really helps to go with some friends or to introduce yourself to some strange randomers, introduce yourself to some people and make some friends, because I think that the social aspect of this tournament is really what made it for me. I wasn't really going to test my ultimate Street Fighter skills. Honestly, I hadn't actually had a chance to play the game very much for the couple weeks running up to the tournament. I really was there to enjoy it on the whole, you know, as a social aspect, so that I could also watch pro players from really close by, so I could also test my own skills. On the whole, I think it was a really well-rounded event. I'd say if I had any criticism about Tokyo Game Show 2019, the Street Fighter tournament, it's that the sign postage isn't very clear. I think the website, even though it's available in multiple languages, it doesn't make it very clear which building you're supposed to go to, or that it's separate to Tokyo Game Show. So you actually arrive at Makuhari Messe, which is a massive, big building. There's like 11 aircraft hangar size rooms where they have all of these events going on. But it's actually none of those large halls that you go to for this tournament. The tournament actually happens in a place called the International Conference Hall. I don't know if it'll be like that next year, but for last year and this year, that's how it was. And the entrance is not, there's no like map on the website, so you don't know what to expect before you arrive. You just arrive and you follow a sea of people all going towards Tokyo Game Show. And who's to know which event is the one that you're supposed to be going to? They didn't even have a sign on the International Conference Hall. It was literally just 2 or 3 people holding some signs. Someone was holding like the Street Fighter shield, and another person had a piece of paper, like a card, that says Tokyo Game Show Street Fighter Asia Premier Tournament. So I think the signage could do with a bit of help. Another thing that was a little different to last year was I remember actually being approached by Doc Fugu, who was actually there doing some on-site translation, because there was often times when the announcers were calling out names. They're just like, is so-and-so Senshu here, which means is there the player named so-and-so here. and it was helpful to have a few volunteers running around who could speak English. But this time I didn't see anyone who was like dedicated to translation, but I actually didn't personally have any issues with translations or names not being called out correctly. So personally, I actually don't know if it was a problem at all. Maybe all the volunteers that they had doing the tournament organizing, maybe they all happened to be fluent in English, but I'm not sure. I didn't personally have any issues, but I remember that at EVO Japan it was quite an issue that they didn't have enough volunteers doing translation work there. Apart from that, I really have not that much to complain about. I had a good time, and I think it really helped personally that I knew some people and was introduced to people while I was there, because I think that social aspect really did it for me. If there's anything I want to like draw attention to, is that I've been watching on Twitch streams, YouTube streams, all of the tournaments that happen in the West as well. And it was just really interesting how they do Tokyo Game Show. They had announcers and commentary team on stage with the players. So you have the two players right in the middle, and they usually have 2 or 3 announcers and then 2 or 3 commentator, like the team that do the commentary. If there's anything that I think Japan does slightly differently in terms of media, it's that they try to get as many people watching as possible by getting as many different presenters on screen as possible. Now, it's something that I don't watch a lot of myself on Japanese TV, but I know that it works as a formula in Japan, where they get maybe 5 or 6 or maybe 10 or 11 or maybe like 20 different celebrities, and they'll sit them on these staircased bleachers. And then while they're watching the same program that you're watching, they'll like show the face of those famous people in the corner of the screen. I don't know all the secrets about it, but essentially I think the gist is that people will more likely be channel flicking, channel surfing, and then they'll stop on your program if they see a familiar face or a famous face. And something that was really cool about the way that Tokyo Game Show does this tournament is that it's done with a lot of pomp and circumstance and pizzazz. And by having these announcers who are not super well known on the Street Fighter circuit, but quite well known in maybe esports or presenting other TV shows, and sometimes they have like celebrity guests as well, I think that really helps to bring in new audiences, because you can be certain that of the 60 to 80,000 people who might watch this on a Twitch stream, or maybe over 100,000 people who are watching this on home television, if it was shown on home television, I don't actually know if it was, you can be sure that a large majority of people who are watching these tournaments are probably not playing Street Fighter V all day, every day, and going to local events and all that. So that's something I'd quite like to see happen more in the West. Maybe it is happening in the West and I'm just not super familiar with it. If it is happening, do let me know. But I would love to see more of these Twitch streams bring in some celebrity guests who are maybe familiar with games, but not particularly into playing Street Fighter themselves. Just musicians or actors or people who are interested in games who would bring new audiences into watching Street Fighter, because I really don't think you have to play Street Fighter to watch and enjoy this. And actually brought along a friend of mine this year who doesn't really play any Street Fighter at all, and I think she was having a grand old time watching some of the matches, and there's a lot to be enjoyed. Something I did think about while watching all these matches was that I would love for Street Fighter 6, or any fighting game for that matter, to come out with more spectator modes, because I was watching it and I was thinking to myself, okay, well, we've got tens of thousands of people watching this, but the game is in 3D, and the camera only rotates when they do the super combo, and the super combo generally only happens once per round, if it even happens at all, right? And so you may go for very long stints of time, maybe a few minutes to maybe 10 or 15 minutes where you never see a super combo. But I really feel like they're missing a trick by not having like a spectator mode where the camera just zooms in at any cool angle while they're fighting. We don't all need to see exactly how perfect their spacing is. We don't all need to see how close that person is into the corner, because we've got the commentary telling us stuff like that. We're like, the commentator's usually saying stuff like, okay, he's bringing him into the corner and now he's gonna do his corner combo. He's clearly got the most optimized amount of damage here, and yeah, he's won the round. And so we've got all of this oral information coming in, telling us what we need to know about the match, so that maybe as players, we want to see the original screen And it would be fine if maybe in the future on Twitch we could like click a button and just watch the main screen if we're players ourselves. But I think for the general public, it would be fine if it were built into the game to have like a spectator mode. If the game console could output like a separate feed of spectator mode where the camera is constantly changing. Just think of like maybe Final Fantasy VII. In Final Fantasy VII, what was different to like Final Fantasy VI and Final Fantasy V was that instead of having characters and monsters, the camera was like constantly rotating around, and every time you did a summon, it would zoom in on the character and then it would show this massive cinematic, all sorts of different angles when the summons were flying around on screen. And I just think that we're really missing a trick. We're like trying to bring it to the public, the general public, trying to make it more esports, but the truth is, we can get so many more people watching without having to get them to try the game at all. They don't have to play the game at all. As long as we get them into watching Street Fighter, they'll probably buy all the apparel, all the clothing, all the keychains, all the stuff that you can make money from, which would bring more money in for development of future games. Well, that ended up being a much longer discussion than I was expecting, but hey, I just wanted to share some closing remarks. Really enjoyed Tokyo Game Show, the Street Fighter tournament, the Asia premiere. The other thing is the name wasn't too catchy, was it? It's called Capcom Pro Tour Asia Premiere Japan? I don't actually know even what it was called. I just keep calling it Tokyo Game Show 2019 Street Fighter V tournament. Capcom Pro Tour Asia Premiere doesn't really have much of a ring to it. And again, if you're not super into playing the game or you don't follow Capcom Pro Tour all through the year, that name's gonna mean like nothing. So anyway, I had a great time. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to comment, subscribe, share the links and all that great stuff. And I'll see you in the next NihongoGamer video.